Walk with me, and as we wander down the crowded street, even if we're shuffling our feet, you make me never want to miss a beat. We're meant to be, and if you lie with me under the sycamore tree, whether we're high or low, there's nowhere else I wanna go. Hold my hand, fall in love with footprints in the sand, and kiss each other while we watch the band. And everyone who knows us understands we're meant to be. And if you lie with me under the sycamore tree, whether we're high or low, there's nowhere else I wanna go. So walk with me as we wander down the crowded street, even if we're shuffling our feet, you make me never want to miss a beat, never miss a beat. And if you lie with me under the sycamore tree, whether we're high or low, nowhere else I wanna go. And if you lie with me under the sycamore tree, whether we're high or low, nowhere else I wanna go. So walk with me, walk with me.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's City of Cedar Falls Committee of the Whole meeting. I'll now call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Schultz,
Here.
Latta,
Here.
Cruz,
Here.
Hawbaker,
Here.
Gienfield,
Present.
Chrisman,
Here.
Dunn.
Here.
All members present.
Madam Clerk, item number 1, we have the fiscal year 2024 annual comprehensive financial report presented by the Controller, City Treasurer, Lisa Roding. Thank you, Lisa.
Good evening, and thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. In tonight's packet, you had the fiscal year 2024 annual comprehensive financial report. This report is prepared by the Finance and Business Operations Department annually. This report represents and reflects the city's financial position and condition to the city's residents, elected officials, city management, financial institutions, city bondholders, rating agencies, as well as others that might be interested. Each year, the Finance and Business Operations staff takes around 800 hours to complete this report. This year's report was completed by Director Rodenbeck, Paul Kokler, and myself, as well as others in financial services. The annual report is presented in 3 sections. The introductory section includes the transmittal letter, the table of contents, which will outline the report, and also the organizational chart. The second section is the financial section, which includes the auditor's opinion letter, the MD&A, or the management discussion and analysis, the financial statements, and the notes to the financial statements. The final section is the statistical section, and this section includes financial and demographic information presented in a multi-year basis. The annual report is prepared in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles, and the statements have been audited by an independent public accounting firm. We are required, due to our population, to undergo this audit annually. Eide Bailly LLC was engaged to complete this audit of the financial statements. They were here in July to complete the preliminary field work. They returned in September to complete the final field work. While they were here on both of those visits, they tested various items, and they have issued an unmodified or clean opinion for the fiscal year 2024 audit. An unmodified opinion is the best opinion that can be given on the city's financial statements. Our auditors have stated that the financial statements have been presented fairly in all material respects and with respect to the governmental activities and business type activities. Another portion of our audit is called the single audit. Under the Single Audit Act of 1984, recipients who receive federal funding of more than $750,000 must undergo a single audit. The single audit's objective is to determine if the entity has complied with all of the requirements of a federal award. Our schedule of expenditures for federal awards is included in the packet, and it lists the 13 grants that the city participated in for fiscal year 2024. This totaled just about $8.6 million in federally spent money. We received funding from 6 entities: the Department of Housing of Urban Development, the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Justice, Department of Commerce, the Department of Transportation, and the Department of Treasury. The city's fiscal year 2023 annual comprehensive financial report has been recognized by the Government Finance Officers Association with the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. This was the 34th year for us to receive this award, and we do plan to submit the fiscal year 2024 annual comprehensive report to this same award. And as required by Iowa Code, we will submit this to the State Auditor's Office, and it will be posted to the city's website after tonight's meeting. There is no action here at the committee meeting. The report is also on the consent calendar on tonight's council agenda. I'd like to thank the mayor, council members, and city management for their support in all material respects with our financial. Is there any questions or?
And I'll open up any questions, comments from council.
34 consecutive years.
34.
Yeah, consecutive. That's good.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yep.
Mrs. Roding, I appreciate it. I just praise God for people that are in the diversity of liking numbers because it's not my bag. But I do really appreciate that. I had no idea that it was 800 hours. That had slipped my mind in the past. So thank you and your team for that dedicated work. Having perused this, it is a thorough document, and I'm glad that we got an unmodified opinion. So again, thank you and congratulations. Keeping us in a good shape. It's great for the community.
I'll second just the more I get into the financials of it and realize how complicated it can get. It's impressive that we have an unmodified result with.
That's very true. Just two interesting numbers that stood out to me just going through this here quickly. Our property tax rate continues to be quite low in comparison. They look like number 7 compared to the top 20 cities in Iowa, and even across the river, about an $8 per difference. So that's pretty impressive. And then also, I thought it was interesting. You know, we really pride ourselves on being really lean operationally, but I did see that there was a call out in here that we may need to really consider how lean we are at looking at overtaxed our staff is. So something to keep in mind as we come into goal setting probably too.
Thank you, Counselor.
Okay.
Any other questions, discussion from council? Seeing none? Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item number 2, Cedar Falls Community Foundation update. We have a presentation from the Community Foundation Executive Director Sally Timmer, and then as well, President John Lehman.
Hello. Thank you. Yes, as you said, my name is Sally Timmer. I'm the Executive Director at the Cedar Falls Community Foundation, and tonight I have our Board President, John Lehman, here with us. Can we bring up there we go. So at the Cedar Falls Community Foundation, our mission is to inspire and connect individuals, families, and organizations to enhance our community, support nonprofits, elevate educational opportunities, and build legacies through philanthropy. And our vision is to be a champion of local philanthropy and a trusted, empowering partner to donors who are passionate about enriching the community of Cedar Falls. So we work with Cedar Falls residents who want to leave a legacy of support, both in Cedar Falls or in Cedar Valley in general or elsewhere. And obviously our donors are the foundation of everything that we were able to do.
And the foundation was established in 1976 by the late John Cruz, Mayor Cruz. And really for the first almost 40 years of our existence, we were a very passive organization. About 10 years ago, we decided that we could be much more impactful to the community if we became more active, and that's when we decided to pursue becoming a fully accredited national organization. We were originally called the Cedar Falls Civic Foundation. We changed our name in 2015 to the Cedar Falls Community Foundation. We achieved full national accreditation at that time. And today, there are 19 accredited community foundations in the state. Now think about that. There's 99 counties, but only 19 foundations, and we are lucky enough to have one here in our community. We currently steward over $9 million in assets, and the reason we're here tonight and the reason this is important to you is that over half of those assets are dedicated to organizations that fall within the city budget. So that's the library, the Hearst Center, and the Rec Center specifically. So we have had a long-standing partnership with the city. We communicate on a regular basis with those different organizations so that we are in sync with what their future plans are. And we wouldn't exist today without that partnership. And we are a volunteer-driven organization. We have up to 21 board members that are all volunteers and residents of the city of Cedar Falls. We're by Cedar Falls and for Cedar Falls.
So just to talk a little bit about our competitive grants that we give out annually, we have our grant processes once per year from April through June, and this year we gave out 3 funds competitively. So that would be our Round Trust, the Diamond Art and History Fund, and the Children and Families Fund. And so from the Round Trust, we gave $50,000 to the Cedar River Recreational Enhancement. That will be paid out over 4 years. We also gave $10,000 to the Cedar Falls Rotary Club for their Rotary Plaza honoring essential workers during the pandemic, and $5,000 to the Cedar Falls Women's Club to support new kitchen heating and air conditioning. And then the Diamond Arts and History Fund had a grant, one grant for $3,500 to the Cedar Falls Community Theater to support a new play festival, and a $1,000 grant to the UNI Suzuki Orchestra to support their tours that they do to arts underserved communities in the area.
And then we have an area of interest fund that we created about 5 years ago called the Children and Families Fund. And when we decided to fundraise for this particular fund, we tried to identify what's an important need in this area. For those of you that don't know, between 2016 and 2021, 28% of the child care centers in Iowa closed. And I mean, they are permanently closed, and we are still seeing closures in child care, and that is a social issue, and it's an economic issue that affects the nation, that affects the state, and affects us locally here. So we made our focus, our initial focus, to create this fund for fundraising to help the child care centers in Cedar Falls. We were able to raise $50,000 from local contributions, which is, we think, very significant. And we committed 3 years, and this is the last of those 3 years, that we would focus specifically on child care. So we have a half a dozen grants that we were able to make this year. I'm not going to go through every one of them for your time, but we felt if we could do anything that we could help support some of the costs of these centers so that they can address the staffing issues that they have. We could spend an hour talking about staffing issues in child care, but this is a way that we could get back to the community to support this important need in the area.
Now moving on to other grants that support city projects and programs, starting with the library. So we have 6 funds that specifically support library programs. So just going over some of the grants that came from those, the endowment fund this year had a grant to support an outdoor music garden that will be on the property. The Robert and Shirley Berg Fund for the library has, we had grants from that to support the summer library program, the Cedar Valley Youth Read program, Midwest French Creole music program, and a recent grant for additional e-materials for the library. And the Ray Fund had grants to support the Bridge to Reading program, a new prenatal program, and their recent 20th anniversary celebration that was this summer. So far this year, we've had $152,250 in grants to the library.
And then other funds that we have to support city organizations, including the Hearst and the Rec Center. We have Friends of the Hearst, the Public Art Fund, the Berg Fund, and the Ray Fund. And this year, they have the most exciting thing that's happening with those funds is we've been in conversations with the folks at the Hearst about the possible expansion of that program and to the possibility that we may be able to fund a lead fundraising gift to kickstart the fundraising for that project. At this point, we're still waiting to see how the feasibility study turns out for fundraising before we move forward with that. And I just want to talk a little bit about some of the other funds that are not funds that we consider tied to city organizations, but these are funds that have definitely made an impact on the city. For example, the Pickleball Club. I think most of you are familiar with the Pickleball Club. Just completed a recent expansion out there. And for those that don't know, in the last fiscal year for the city, we were able to turn over $170,000 toward that project through the foundation that was raised by the Pickleball Club. The Cedar River Recreational Project, in this fiscal year, or in this calendar year so far, we've been able to turn over $130,000 toward that project, and that fundraising continues for that project. And then we have a area of interest fund called Health and Wellness, which covers a broad range of health and wellness in the community, but we have pledged $25,000 to the Searly Park project to increase accessibility, the handicap accessibility there, and I understand that's on your agenda for tonight, so I hope you'll give that serious consideration.
And just some other updates from the Community Foundation. At the beginning of this year, we did some rebranding, so you'll see our logo was updated a little bit. We have a new tagline, Elevating Cedar Falls Through Generosity, and we also did a new website redesign. And this year, we also went through the reaccreditation process and then found out in August that we were officially reaccredited. And so what that represents is a community foundation's commitment to rigorous sector-driven best practices that exceed what the federal and state requirements are. It shows that we have accountability and excellence to our community and letting the policy makers and the public know that. So through that reaccreditation, that allows us to offer Endow Iowa tax credits. So that allows donors who gift to a qualified endowment fund to receive 25% back on that donation through a tax credit. And then we were also part of the group that helped to get the Housing Trust Fund started. So that will allow that Housing Trust Fund will bring in money from the state to help address local affordable housing needs. So we're excited about bringing that program here as well. And that's all that I have for tonight. So if you have any questions afterwards, feel free to reach out to us. But thank you all for letting us come and share some updates with you tonight.
Thank you, guys. Do you mind if I, oh, go ahead, Jen.
Yeah, any questions?
I was gonna say, I'll open up the questions and thoughts. Yep.
Well, I have a special place in my heart for this organization, but thank you both so much, and to your many, many volunteers, thank you. I know that there's a lot of work, there's a lot of different things that go into the Community Foundation, you know, beyond just fundraising, that, you know, it does create community and special opportunities for people that they might not have otherwise. So thank you very much for your dedication to Cedar Falls.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other thoughts, questions, concerns, hoorahs?
Hoorah.
I'll second it because you guys are sometimes the lead on helping a lot of these projects, and just the benefit of having a local accredited foundation that our organizations like the River Project can partner with as a flow through. I know it was a big help for a lot of organizations trying to fundraise, so appreciate you guys' partnership.
Well, you know, I think it's worth mentioning that, you know, if you're going to make the world a better place, you start with where you live. And that's what we do in our organization, but I also know that's what a lot of the people in this room do every day. So we'd like to thank you for your service to Cedar Falls.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, otherwise, that is all we have for the agenda for tonight. So we will adjourn the committee of the whole meeting, and we will be back here at 7 o'clock for our regularly scheduled city council meeting. Thank you, everyone.